Hey everyone, do me a favor, don't swipe. You need to hear this, especially if you're a content creator on YouTube. YouTube wants everybody to believe it's a neutral platform, a fair arena, a place where the best content naturally rises and the people decide what wins. And that's a beautiful little bedtime story for grown adults who still think giant corporations are in the business of fairness. They're not. YouTube is not a public square. It's not a meritocracy. And it's not some noble open market of ideas where everybody gets a fair shot and the audience sorts the rest out. It's a ranking machine, a sorting machine. It's a digital bottleneck built to decide who gets seen, who gets ignored, and who gets fed into the grinder, without anybody ever admitting that that's what's happening. And that is why so many creators feel like they're screaming into a void, because they are. You can spend hours scripting, filming, editing, thinking through your pacing, trying to make something sharp and original, only to wake up the next day and find out your video got 6 impressions in 48 hours and 1 view. 6. Not 200 or 400. No, 6 impressions. That's not a public response. That's not the audience rejecting your mind's work. That's the machine barely letting your work leave the garage. And then people start with the same tired little sermon. Well, maybe the thumbnail was not strong enough, or maybe the hook just didn't land, or maybe the audience just didn't connect, What audience? That's the question these algorithm worshipers never answer. What audience? You cannot say that people rejected something when the people were never given a meaningful chance to see it in the first place. And that's the trick. It's the con. The audience does not decide first. The algorithm decides whether the audience even gets to know that you exist. And that's the dirty little truth sitting under all the polished corporate language. YouTube is not asking, hey, is this creator talented? It ain't asking, does this person have something worthwhile to say? It's not even asking you, could viewers maybe enjoy this if we gave it a chance? No. It is asking one thing above all else. What is the safest possible bet to keep this particular viewer watching right now? That's it. That's the whole religion. Retention, predictability, watch time, and reduced risk. The machine does not reward courage. It rewards confidence intervals. So when creators say the system suppresses people, that's not paranoia, and that's not bitterness, and it sure as hell is not a cop-out. It is a direct description of how the structure functions. If you are a familiar face, a proven format, a safe bet, a known quantity, the machine is more comfortable distributing you. If you are new, experimental, harder to classify, slightly outside the mold, or just not already carrying momentum, the machine treats you like a risk. And risk does not get promoted. Risk gets rationed. That is why YouTube keeps training people into narrow little boxes and calling it strategy. Stay in your niche, stick to your lane, keep the same format, keep the same emotional rhythm, keep the same topic, keep the same audience expectation. Keep giving the machine exactly what it already understands. And then people wonder why creators feel pigeonholed. Because they are pigeonholed. The algorithm does not love creativity, man. It loves predictability. It loves repetition. It loves whatever lowers uncertainty and keeps the conveyor belt moving. So the very platform that markets itself as this great engine of creator freedom quietly pressures everybody to become a more limited version of themselves. This is for all you creators out there. Don't branch out too much. Don't confuse the audience. Do not change tone too fast. Do not post something outside your usual category. Do not do this and do not do that. Why? Because once the system learns a version of you that it can monetize, it wants that version of you forever. It does not want an artist. It wants a product line. And this is where the whole thing gets especially insulting. Because YouTube and its defenders love to talk about the algorithm like it is some kind of all-seeing digital superbrain, right? This brilliant machine, this cold-blooded genius of behavioral prediction, this thing that understands human preference with godlike precision. Fine. I'm okay with that. But if it's so smart, explain this to me. Why is it that I can hit don't recommend channel and then 12 days later, that same creator is back in my feed? Like a raccoon that learned how to open the trash can? What exactly got learned there? What part of don't recommend was so philosophically complicated that the machine needed a 2-week smoke break and still came back confused? And while we're at it, why does it keep feeding me videos I've already watched over and over? Same title, same thumbnail, same content. Sometimes that little red watch bar disappears like the platform's trying to erase the evidence and pretend that I never saw it. Like I'm dumb enough to sit there and think, this looks strangely familiar, before clicking the exact same garbage again. So let's stop pretending this thing is some flawless oracle of personal taste. It is apparently smart enough to micromanage the fate of millions of creators, but too stupid to understand direct user feedback and basic viewing history. Funny how it works, isn't it? The algorithm becomes a ruthless genius when it's time to choke off a small creator's reach. Then suddenly, it can detect the faintest little data tremor. It can decide in half a heartbeat that your work is not worth broad distribution. It can bury you under an avalanche of bigger channels, recycled formats, safer personalities, and established winners. It can be brutally efficient when it comes to limiting exposure. But when a real person says, I don't want this channel, or I've already watched this video, suddenly the machine turns into a concussed intern drilling into a spreadsheet. That tells you everything you need to know. This system is not designed to serve creators. It is not really designed to serve viewers either, at least not in the way they market it. It is designed to serve the platform. It remembers what helps it keep content circulating, what keeps sessions going, what keeps ad inventory alive, and what keeps money moving. But when your preference gets in the way of that circulation, when your feedback interrupts the loop, when your actual human choice conflicts with what the machine wants to keep resurfacing, your choice starts looking strangely optional. And that's the bigger point. The algorithm is not neutral. It is not a referee. It is a gatekeeper pretending to be a mirror. It acts like it is just reflecting what people want, but half the time it's manufacturing what people keep seeing by deciding what is allowed to remain in circulation. And that's a huge difference, man. A mirror reflects, a gatekeeper selects, and YouTube selects. Constantly, relentlessly, and invisibly. And because that selection happens upstream, before most viewers ever get a real crack at judging the content for themselves, the platform gets to hide behind plausible deniability. It gets to shrug and say, well, viewers didn't respond, dude. Maybe. Or maybe viewers were never given enough chances to respond at all. Maybe the video died in testing before it ever had room to breathe. Maybe the machine saw uncertainty and chose not to spend distribution on it. Maybe what failed was not the content, but the platform's willingness to risk showing it. That is part that drives creators insane. And frankly, they are right to be furious about it. Because it creates a system where effort and quality do not cleanly translate into opportunity. You can do everything right and still get buried. You can improve your editing, improve your audio, improve your writing, improve your thumbnails, improve your pacing, improve your titles, and still have the machine look at your work like it's a suspicious bag that's left in an airport terminal. Meanwhile, some recycled, low-effort, algorithm-friendly slop gets pumped into the bloodstream because it fits a pattern the system already trusts. And then the motivational crowd shows up with their empty little slogans. Hey man, keep grinding, trust the process, just make better content. That advice is not always wrong, but it is painfully incomplete because it ignores the fact that this is not a clean game. This is not some pure contest where everybody lines up at the same starting point and the strongest work wins. This is a traffic system with private toll booths, hidden levers, and an invisible class structure. Some creators are trying to prove themselves. Others are being continuously floated by accumulated momentum, channel history, audience habit, brand familiarity, and a system that would rather recycle an old winner than gamble on a new voice. And let's talk about the parasites that grow fat off this whole mess. The people sitting on top of the algorithm, they're not dumb, and I'm cool with that. They're smart. Smart in the sleaziest way possible because they figured it out. That one of the easiest niches on YouTube is not even real creativity anymore. It's feeding off the chaos itself. So what do? Well, they build channels around how to beat the algorithm, how to go viral, how to get recommended, how to hack the system. They know exactly what they're doing. They are not solving the problem. They are coddling the very panic and uncertainty that the system creates. They are monetizing the confusion. They are selling maps to a maze they never actually escaped. Because the ugly truth is this. Most of them did not beat the algorithm in some grand transferable way. They found a niche inside the algorithm's dysfunction and started farming desperate creators who want answers. And that is why so much of that content feels like a street hustle, because it is. It's the same old shell game with better lighting and a thumbnail face making a shocked expression. Here's the secret. Here's the trick. Here's what YouTube isn't telling you. But the real secret is there's no stable formula that ordinary creators can just copy and suddenly unlock. There's no magic sequence that makes the machine fair. You are not cracking some sacred code. You are standing on the sidewalk, getting lured into a card game by a guy who already knows where the queen is because his cousin's dealing. And that is the extra insult. Not only does the system choke real creators with opacity, but it creates an entire class of opportunists who profit by pretending the opacity can be mastered. If you just watch one more video, buy one more course, copy one more framework, and obsess over one more metric. So creators get hit from both sides. First, the platform suppresses them. Then the algorithm gurus show up to sell them a survival guide for a war that they cannot actually control. It is scamming built on top of scamming. It's a second floor fraud operation sitting right above the first one. And let's kill another stupid myth while we're here. People love saying, well, there's so much content uploaded every day. Of course the algorithm has to filter somehow. Well, that's true. I don't think anybody's denying that. Of course it has to filter. But that does not magically make the filtering fair. A prison guard also has to sort people into cells. That doesn't make him a life coach. The fact that the platform needs a sorting mechanism is not proof that the mechanism is neutral, healthy, or worthy of worship. It just means that the machine has become so large, so bloated, and so overcrowded that human judgment has been replaced by automated triage. And automated triage does not care about your dreams. It does not care that you stayed up until 3 a.m. editing. It doesn't care that you have something smarter to say than half the polished mannequins on the homepage. It doesn't care that your work might connect deeply if the right people actually saw it. It cares about what is easiest to predict right now, what is the safest, what is already proving itself, What can be confidently fed into the next slot without spooking the system. That is why YouTube feels less like a place for discovery now and more like a place for managed circulation. It's not about opening doors. It's about controlling flow. Same faces, the same vibes, same styles, same topics, same recycled sludge, just with a different frosting. The platform does not just reward familiarity, it industrializes it. So when somebody says, burn it all down with the truth is not that YouTube is secretly broken. The truth is worse. It is functioning exactly the way a giant profit-driven platform would function. It sells creators on hope, sells viewers on personalization, and then lets an opaque ranking machine decide who gets oxygen. It calls this optimization. It calls this relevance. It calls this helping people find what they love. But from where I'm standing, it looks like a lot more like an automated gatekeeper with clean branding and a smug tech vocabulary. YouTube is not some noble stage where the people always choose the best act. It is a privately owned attention refinery. Millions of creators pour time, labor, ideas, identity, and ambition into it, and the system extracts value from all of them, while only a fraction get meaningful visibility in return. It does not need everybody to win. It just needs everybody to keep trying. And that is how the machine stays fed. Hope is the fuel. Suppression is part of the architecture. And the algorithm, that supposedly brilliant mind-reading wonder machine, cannot even remember that I told it not to recommend a channel that I don't want. Or that I already watched the damn video. It's waving in my face again. So no, I ain't buying the fairy tale no more. And I'm not applauding the machine for being necessary. I'm not bowing down to a system that acts like a genius when it's burying small creators, then plays stupid when users give direct feedback. That's not neutrality, and that's not fairness, and that sure as the hell ain't intelligence. That's a bottleneck with marketing. That's a gatekeeper in a lab coat. That's a platform pretending to empower creators while quietly training them to become safer, narrower, more predictable versions of themselves for a chance at scraps. And the ugliest part of it is this. They will keep calling it opportunity while people burn themselves out, trying to be chosen by a machine that was never designed to care about them in the first place. I'm done. You know, I hope you guys see this down the road. I don't care. But I got at least I have a voice. At least I have something to say that's not the average Joe. But I get 6 impressions, and then because I don't look like the next guy, nobody wants to watch it. Get out of here. I mean, we've gotten into a point of a society. I mean, they just are, I guess, just sheep, man. You know, I mean, it's just like, it's like what they feed everybody anyway, just slop, and they eat it up. Not having a real conversation or real critical thought. But that's all I got today, folks. And this is the last time you're going to see me on this platform. I'm going to move over to X or something to where I can speak my mind and not get censored and whatever. It's stupid. Anyway, God bless y'all. Later, Gators.